Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. Our lecture today is titled, the reason for political instability in most third world countries. The reasons for political instability in most third world countries. Now, political instability is defined as a process whereby the political life or atmosphere of a country or a nation suddenly changes or fails. Okay, now when the political situation of a state or region is not certain because it has a high possibility of changing or getting disturbed, then we can say that there is political instability, and that in that state or a region or the region. Now we are going to be looking at the causes. What are the causes of political instability? Okay, what are the causes of political instability in third world countries? Now there are so many things that are that contribute towards the destabilizing of the political atmosphere of a country or a region. The following are the factors. Number one, mass unemployment and poverty. Mass unemployment and poverty. Now, unemployment and poverty can easily trigger political instability in any country. Now, when majority of the people in a country are impoverished and cannot find jobs to do, then they vent their anger on the government, and that leads to instability in the country. Many countries have suffered from instability as a result of this. Nigeria is a case in point where we have Boko Haram, IPOB, Niger Delta militancy. Sudan is also another example. Where you have the Janjaweed, Syria, Libya, Iraq. They all have ISIS and all of that. Okay, so that is number one. Number two is suppression of opposition parties by the ruling government. Now, when members of the opposition parties are deliberately targeted and prosecuted, for no apparent reasons, then this can easily give rise to instability in the country. Example is Libya under Gaddafi, Syria under Al-Assad, and so on. Okay, number three is corruption and mismanagement. Now, corruption and mismanagement of the wealth of the nation by the leaders is a recipe for instability. Now, corruption has over the years been shown to be one of the biggest factors responsible for political instability in many countries all over the world. The more corrupt a country is, the higher the likelihood of that country becoming unstable. Okay, so number four is sit tight syndrome. Holding onto power, for too long by heads of states is another major cause of political instability. Now, a country can easily be plunged into political instability when the head of state decides not to step down from power when his or her time is up. So many countries in Africa, you know, Asia have experienced political instability as a result of this. A good example is a country presently, experiencing political instability. A good example of a country presently experiencing political instability, okay, as a result of this factor is Syria and of course Libya. Okay, now another factor that actually leads to political instability in several countries of the world is high level of sentiment. Now, high level of sentiment or prejudice in a country also leads to instability. Now, sentiment is the unreasonable hatred of people who are different from you. Now, in many countries in Africa, ethnic sentiment has over the years led to some of the worst forms of instability in a country. Now, number six, when elections are not free, fair, and credible. Now, many countries have suffered from political instability as a result of unfair elections characterized by rigging of votes and intimidation during elections. Now, an election that is not free and fair is one of the major causes of political instability in many countries across the globe. Now, number 7, if there is no protection of fundamental human rights, if there is no protection or lack of protection of fundamental human rights. Now, if the rights and freedoms of the people and freedom of the people are not respected or are trampled upon, then it is very easy for political instability, to emerge. Okay, so that is number 7. Number 8, the external influence. External influence is another risk factor of political instability or political instability. What does that mean? It means that the multinational corporations and other vested interests abroad can cause political instability. Now, the success of instability in one country, okay, can trigger instability in a nearby country. Now, a good example is the Arab Spring. Okay, so those are the things. Now, another reason for political instability is lack of adherence to rule of law. Lack of adherence to rule of law. Now, if there is no adherence to the fundamental human rights of the people and then the rule of law, of the country, and then there is no checks and balances within a political system, it can actually trigger political instability. Okay, so those are just the major things. The next one is change of leadership and change of political parties in power. Change of parties in power. Now, when there is a change of government from one from one political party to another political party, now there is normally policy somersault. Now, this policy somersault is actually a recipe for political instability, because over time the economic policies of a particular government will be discontinued by the by a political party that just won election, which is different from the political party that has been in power. Now, that alone can actually cause instability. Instability is not just when there are crises within the political system. It is also that the policies and programs of the government are not stable. Now, if the policies and programs are not stable, what you have is instability, and it is of course a recipe for a country to be plunged into what the country will not actually want to be in. Okay, now let us in summary therefore. Okay, now political instability is not a natural phenomenon, but it is man-made. Now, but the solution lies with the citizens of the country, but the leadership, and of course the leadership has a lot of role to play. And one of the major ways in which the leadership of a country can actually guarantee stability is good governance, where everybody in the country is actually carried along. To that extent, we can say that political stability is actually in place when everybody is carried along and everybody is actually, following, tilting towards the direction of the government. Of course, the citizenry will actually help the government to be stable. Okay, so those are just the major things. Thank you very much.